Feds named Times Square a major target for terror attacks ahead of New Year's Eve, although no substantial specific threat yet.
That's right, Ryan. And then also this morning, the international manhunt for this guy right here, Berlin Terrace, it intensifies. His name is Anis Amir. Amir, is that what we're saying, Steve? Amiri. He is 24 years old today. Today's his birthday. He's from Tunisia, a Tunisian man considered armed and dangerous and could strike again at any moment.
We now also know that this guy had been on a terror watch list, has been watched for a number of months, dropped off apparently in the last 2 months. He has 6 aliases and had been under government surveillance for a while.
Yeah, so they knew who he was and what he was capable of. Germany even tried to deport him this summer, but they couldn't because he didn't have invalid documents, and Tunisia wasn't even sure he was one of their own. So it just went into hyperspace. And in October, they said, why are we even tagging him anymore? Let's just let him go.
Right.
Next thing you know, he stabs and shoots a Polish truck driver, allegedly, takes the truck, and kills 12 people.
Who has 6 aliases? He's 24 years old. He has 6 aliases, and then they let him go.
Drug addict. Looks like he's a drug distributor, using drugs. Been accused of that in the past. And he's a real genius. He leaves his wallet underneath the seat, so we know exactly where he is. Maybe he never thought he'd survive. Sadly, he has.
Well, what looks bad is the German cops. Keep in mind, on Tuesday, German cops announced they had the guy, but it was the wrong guy. Then they said we had the wrong man. When the police went through the cab after that, as you can see right there, it plowed through and killed a dozen people, they missed the guy's papers that were absolutely just right there in plain sight. Here's one of the problems, though. And apparently in 2011, after this guy left Tunisia, he wound up going to Italy. In Italy, he was at a detention facility for migrants, and he started it on fire. He was kept in prison there for 4 years. His brother said that jail changed him. He became more devout, he started praying, and he stopped smoking. Just one other thing about this particular story, then, is Italy wanted to send him back to Tunisia, but he didn't have the proper paperwork, according to Tunisia, so he went into Germany, where they said, you don't have paperwork? That's fine with us.
Well, hard to track down a guy like this. All of his pictures look totally different, too.
They do indeed.
He is following a Salafist cleric, radical cleric. Anytime you see Salafist Sunni, say to yourself, we have to investigate this guy, because that is the sect of the Sunni religion where it's producing almost the majority of these radical killers, and they got to be stopped. And the people in the Muslim community should start sectioning them off and saying, I got a real problem. Keep your eye on these people, men and women that take that. Meanwhile, he was on our no-watch list,
and what's
the American no-watch.
What's up with the Tunisians? A Tunisian guy is responsible for what happened in Nice, for running over, 86 people in Nice last July. And I was reading about this country. At least 6,000 Tunisians left home to join ISIS, forming the largest nationality of foreign fighters for ISIS. Pretty scary.
So anyway, this guy was on a watch list. They'd been watching him until they realized, you know, we really don't have anything on him, so we'll watch him sporadically. He fell off their radar apparently earlier this month, and then fast forward to the fact that Germany wanted to deport him, but Tunisia said he doesn't have paperwork. Keep in mind, he's Tunisian. Donald Trump was asked all about this, and these are the first comments he has made ever since the wave of terror struck the world a couple of days ago. Listen, here he is in front of Mar-a-Lago.
What's going on is correct.
Has it caused you to rethink or reevaluate your plans to create a Muslim register or ban Muslim immigration in the United States?
Hey, you know my plans all along. I've been proven to be right, 100% correct. What's happening is disgraceful.
Have you talked to President Obama at all, sir?
I have not. 2 days ago, but not recently. Not since.
Your comments about the truck attack in Berlin being against Christians, do you think that this might...
Say it again, what?
The attack in Berlin being an attack against Christians?
Well, who said that? When was that said?
I believe you said it in a press release. So I'm wondering how this might affect relations with Muslims.
An attack on humanity. That's what it is. It's an attack on humanity. And it's got to be stopped.
It's a great number one, attacking humanity. I think it was a press release or a tweet they put out that said attack against Christians. It was a Christian square where they're shopping on Christmas season, so it's not a huge leap to think it's against Christians. Having said that, humanity is fine. You know, that's exactly it. And by the way, it's great to see a quick reaction to the horror which we're all seeing and evaluating and talking here on our couch, your couch at home. We have the President of the United States who traditionally just waits. We never find out. There's not a lot of follow-up. Let's sit back. It's not all Muslims. Don't worry about it. How dare you overreact? Don't be fearful. You have better chance of getting hit by a car. And instead, you have a guy saying, there's a problem. It's got to be stopped. You feel like you've got somebody that has your back. Meanwhile, Newt Gingrich says he sees the problem, and he thinks it's clearly one thing and one thing only. Listen.
If you're a liberal, part of the liberal elite, you're not allowed to think clearly about any of this because it's politically so incorrect. So you have to pretend it's not true. I mean, you have attacks that are clearly refugees and immigrants in places like France, Belgium, Germany. You'd think there's a lesson there for America, but the Obama administration was incapable of learning it. It's part of why Hillary Clinton lost.
Sure. One of the other reasons is Hillary Clinton and Democrats in general were reluctant to call it Islamic extremism, which it clearly, it looks like it is.
It sounded like that reporter that was talking to Donald Trump was trying to get something out of him.
Sure.
He didn't buy it.
He was trying to get him to say, hey, what's the deal with the Muslim registry? Are you still onto that? Clearly, when Trump is saying these European attacks prove me right, what he's talking about is with the migrant crisis throughout Europe. They don't know who these people are. And this particular guy is Exhibit A. I mean, if the guy is Tunisian, he goes to Italy. Italy won't send him back to Tunisia because he doesn't have paper. That says something about Tunisia. But then again, it says something about Italy. Then it says something about Germany because Germany said, you know, when they tried to deport him in the last couple of months, he doesn't have paper. I think going forward, this new president is going to do something, whether it is extreme vetting or whatever. Things are going to change.
All right, so Dr. James Smith, so you saw him here a couple of weeks ago. He wrote the book on enhanced interrogation. Why? Because he set up the program as a private contractor outside the CIA, working with the CIA, to take the worst of al-Qaeda and used enhanced interrogation tactics on them. And in terms of doing that, he actually spent thousands of hours with Abu Zubaydah, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Hambali, Nashiri, all the worst of the worst, who are the brainchild of people that send out these 24-year-old Tunisians to do these horrific acts. The problem is we don't capture and interrogate anybody anymore, and he watched the CIA get pressure from politicians to be politically correct, and all this stuff began to collapse. But he understands the mindset. Here's what he said last night.
Here's the way political correctness works for a guy like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. It allows them to operate in our midst without being challenged. It allows them to ratchet up the focus on Sharia law without us pushing back on it. And we end up inadvertently imposing on ourselves the blasphemy laws of Sharia because we cut back on the things that they find offensive. We change the way we dress. We don't have Christmas parties anymore. You know, we don't say Merry Christmas to each other on the street. You know, women have to wear headgear. They set up these enclaves, and out of these enclaves, they try to impose Sharia on those people who come into them. We simply have to not let that happen.
He's right. We're also scared about not being PC and offending someone. Sure. You know, these individuals, they're killers. They're trained to kill. They hate Americans. They hate Christians. In fact, we just got word that 2 Americans were hurt in that Christmas market attack in Berlin. One person's hospitalized, one American, and then 1 person was released.
Remember, 2 were hit. At least 2 were hurt in Nice, France, too.
Right.
We should also point out, the German authorities, while they have released the name of this guy, it's possible it's not him. It's possible that somebody could have planted the documents in that truck, but nonetheless, he right now on this Thursday morning is Germany's #1 suspect. But this does expose serious gaps in the country's immigration policy over there, given the fact that they have accepted so many people with backgrounds that they simply cannot vet and verify.
By the way, if it isn't him, get him and throw him out of your country. You don't want him there anyway, looking at his background. Just like the Pakistani that you picked up, that by mistake it was the wrong guy, but he was still lying how he got into the country, and he was there illegally. Throw him out. They let him stay in Germany. Makes no sense.
We'll keep you posted on all that. In the meantime, it is 6:10 now here in New York City, and Jackie joins us once again today. She's on headline duty. And Jackie, we start down in the state of Florida.
That's right. Good morning, friends. Good morning to everyone at home. So the terrorists cooking up a bomb in Florida, that's a big question this morning. That's under investigation right now. A potential terrorist arrested after his terrified mom. She was the one that called and said she was just too scared to be alone with her own son. Investigators in Pasco County say the 21-year-old, you see him there, fought with his parents after they confronted him about a smell in their home, his father even passing out from that smell. When police arrived at the house, the suspect, Sharif El-Ghanani, attacked them, trying to take one of their guns. Investigators uncovering potential bomb-making materials inside. North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory blaming left-wing groups for failing to repeal the state's controversial bathroom bill. The measure generated a lot of controversy when it was passed earlier this year, requiring transgender people to use public bathrooms that match the genders on their birth certificates. The bill was already cost the state tens of millions of dollars. The death toll rising this morning as ignored safety measures, now the focus of the investigation into that horrific explosion at a fireworks market in Mexico City. Investigators now say vendors were displaying those fireworks outside of their individual concrete stalls, which are designed to prevent this type of tragedy. 33 now confirmed dead this morning, 12 remain missing. And dramatic dash cam video for you showing the terrifying moments a drunk semi-truck driver puts other lives in danger. Look at this. You can see the truck on a Minnesota highway swerving. He stopped there, but he's swerving when the man behind the wheel is pulled over. He falls out of the truck, is rolling on the ground, crawling even on the ground, and the officer said he couldn't even help the guy stand up.
1, 2, 3, up.
Wow. The officer then finds 2 bottles of liquor in his truck. The man is blowing a .28 and was hauled off to jail. Wow. And those are your headlines, friends. Back to you guys.
The blue light special became a red light special.
Right?
Right.
Driving the Walmart truck. Gosh, that's a lot of liquor.
So many lives at stake to do that.
Exactly.
Well, we don't know where they got emptied. Just saying. All right, Jackie, thank you. All right, come on up. Have you seen this video? A FedEx truck stolen, and that's the driver hanging on for his life on the outside. So what was happening inside the truck that made it a target? Stay tuned. We're going to tell you what we know.
And remember when President Obama said this?
Look, if I watched Fox News, I wouldn't vote for me either. Right? Because, you know, you've got this screen, this funhouse mirror through which people are receiving information.
Well, he just took it to the next level, and Lisa Booth is here with that coming up next.
I hope she brought the funhouse mirror.
We like it loud, we like it honking. The party won't be revving till we crank it to 11. Get it rocking.
Hi, President Obama still using the same argument, claiming the real reason Democrats lost the election. Fox News. Yep, in an interview with The Atlantic, he says this, quote, in 2008, I was never subjected to this kind of vilification of Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, the whole conservative media ecosystem. After I was elected, it was deployed in full force. It had an impact in terms of how a large portion of white voters would see me. Here to react, Fox News contributor and a contributor for the Washington Examiner, Lisa Booth. Lisa.
Hi, Brian.
This surprises me. He's going out the same way he's going in, blaming Fox News and Rush Limbaugh.
Well, and it's almost like someone never told them that sometimes things in life don't go your way. But we've seen President Obama and the Democratic Party literally come up with every excuse under the sun to try to explain their losses, both with Hillary Clinton and also just the historic losses we've seen under President Obama.
If you say the shovel-ready projects, there was none. The $800 billion stimulus didn't produce. If you say Obamacare has fallen short on almost all promises, it is as if you're looking at him through a glass that's not fair.
Or even just a climate regulations that essentially try to decimate an entire industry with the coal industry. And look, that's the reality here, is that his policies were rejected. We've seen it rejected on historic margins, because you look at the fact that the Democratic Party controls fewer state legislatures than ever before. Republicans have a majority of governorships across the country, and they also now control the House and the Senate and the White House. And so this was a mass rejection of President Obama's policies and also Hillary Clinton as a failed candidate.
But he's also reflecting back his last 8 years, Republicans were tough on him. I think we asked real questions of him, and his response was, I will not talk to you. Bret Baier a couple of times, Bill O'Reilly only at the Super Bowl. I don't really remember if there have been others, but I remember he said this in November, right before the election, to Bill Maher. And by the way, this was his only interview with Bill Maher.
Look, if I watched Fox News, I wouldn't vote for me either, right? Because, you know, you've got this screen, this funhouse mirror through which people are receiving information.
Again, it's the same attitude. He went on to say in The Atlantic, people respond negatively to me because they're responding to the character that they're seeing on TV called Barack Obama or in the office of the presidency in the White House. And that's what it represents. And you don't take it personally. You understand if people are angry and somehow the government is failing, that they're going to look at the guy who represents the government. All right, fine. But do you ever see that George Bush was called stupid? They did a play two doors down.
Or even just the SNL characterizations of Donald Trump, President-elect Trump. But look, the reality is his policies were rejected. I know that's hard for him to grapple with. It's hard for him to accept. But when you're a family, a small family, and you see your insurance premiums skyrocket to the degree that they have under President Obama, in some cases over 100% in some cities in Arizona, for instance. So if you're seeing these policies have a real impact on your family, an impact on your wallet, of course you're going to reject them at the voting booth.
And here's the thing. The polls show that he has 55% personal approval rating, much above his policies. So that flies in the face of his conclusion that we're looking at him through a funhouse mirror. They say, I like this guy. I just don't like him as president.
Well, in fact, what do we learn from this election? It's the fact for the past 8 years, the Democratic Party has been solely propped up by the personal likability of President Obama. His policies have been rejected in wide scale, as I mentioned, historic losses on the state and federal level. And now they also lost the White House as well. So, I mean, that is a resounding rejection of their policies, of their message, of what the Democratic Party stands for. And at some point, they're going to have to look in the mirror and accept the results of the election.
Lisa Booth, you have 2 jobs, 2 companies competing to give you health care coverage. So good job. Congratulations.
Thank
Great
you,
to see you. Always good. Meanwhile, straight ahead, Donald Trump named the person of the year. So who was just named the least influential person of the year? Stay tuned. And have you seen this? A sheriff laying down the law after a woman is busted stealing from Toys for Tots.
Tammy, you are going someplace. You're going where we lock up Grinches.
Yep, that tough-talking sheriff. Here, next. Doesn't seem so bad.
You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel.
Some headlines now for you. Hillary Clinton made GQ's list of 2016's least influential people. The writer blasting Clinton for losing the election. Her running mate Tim Kaine also made the list for being, quote, tragically safe as her pick. And a group of artists now demanding Ivanka Trump take their artwork off her walls. Some New York artists are protesting her dad through her. One of the artists, Alex DeCourt, saying this: "Get my work off your walls. I am embarrassed to be seen with you." Okay, Steve?
Okay. Meanwhile, take a look right there. A real-life Grinch. This Christmas, a Florida woman posing as a volunteer, accused of stealing many toys from Toys for Tots. Tammy Strickland now will spend Christmas behind bars, and that makes the Polk County, Florida sheriff very happy.
Well, yeah, Tammy, you are going someplace. You're going where we lock up Grinches. It's called the county jail, or Grinch City. We're excited that she's in jail. It makes my Christmas a happy Christmas and a Merry Christmas.
Well, that sheriff who unleashed that fury joins us right now. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd is live from Tampa this morning. Sheriff, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. We saw this story. We had to talk to you. First of all, let's start at the very beginning. Who dropped a dime on her?
Well, someone called Crime Stoppers. They needed some Christmas money, so they called about a crook, a Grinch, and we took it from there.
Okay. So as you have, unpeeled the onion here and looked at what was going on with this, you described this woman as a Grinch. What was she doing? I know she was a volunteer for Toys for Tots, which is a really nice thing to do around the holidays. But something was going on.
Well, here's what she was doing. She filed false applications, 29 of them, and asked for toys for 140 children. Well, we got the tip and we started investigating, and sure enough, none of those kids actually existed.
Oh.
So as we were doing the investigation, they were just going to go out and arrest her. And I said, hey, our detectives are simply the best. I said, let's call her in and do a sting. So we called her up. She'd already emailed us twice, or Toys for Tots twice, and said, I need the toys, I need the toys. So we had her drive to the undercover location, and guess what? She arrived to get the stolen toys in a Cadillac Escalade. Oh. Do you hear me? Yeah. A Cadillac Escalade.
And not only was she driving a Caddy, but she's also apparently on state assistance. Sheriff, what was she doing with these toys? Was she going to give them to people she was related to, or just keep them, or what?
When we did a search warrant at her house, we found a whole lot of other toys that we suspect that she stole in 2015 when she was a volunteer. So we seized those toys, and we know she's got a private business in Auburndale, Florida, where she does tax refunds. And on her webpage, she says, a free toy for every child. Come in and see me. So as a result, we think she was giving them to her clients' children.
Unbelievable. Well, if she's preparing taxes for people throughout the state of Florida, have you heard from any of those people yet to complain about her?
Oh, yes, we have. After the initial news reports came out, we received information on Facebook. We've also received information by different telephone calls. You know what? Her Grinch-like problems are just beginning. We haven't investigated her 2015 cases or her IRS problems. She's in it up to here.
Well, Sheriff, watching that press conference, it seemed to me you were happy that with your power you were able to put this woman, who you described as a Grinch, into the Gray Bar Hotel for Christmas.
Do you know how happy we were? My detectives are the best, and that's what they gave me for Christmas this year. We were able to put her in Grinch City, that we call the county jail, and it just makes my Christmas.
Well, there you go. Telling the story about the Grinch who almost stole those toys. You recovered the toys. Did you give them back to Toys for Tots?
Yes, we did. They will have all the toys back, and Toys for Tots has filled 100% of the requests this year in our county.
That is fantastic. All right, Sheriff Grady Judd down in Polk County, but where, by the way, he won during a re-election 99.8% of the vote. Sheriff, thank you very much, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
That is quite a story, isn't it? Well, well, well. All right, coming up on this Thursday, Harry Reid finally coming clean about bashing Mitt Romney back in the day, remember?
There's no brazen lies. I did what was necessary.
Yeah, but he said that Mitt didn't pay taxes for 10 years. That's not true. Shouldn't Democrats consider that fake news as well? We're going to talk about it. And first, he saved jobs at Kerry, and this morning the president-elect just made another major deal, this time making good on his promise to cut the cost of Air Force One. We're going to tell you about that. But first, happy birthday to Senator Ted Cruz. He has got 46 candles on his cake.
According to a recent study, Pokemon Go players have collectively walked 5.7 billion miles while using the app. They've walked everywhere except into a job interview.
Oh, man, the Pokemon store is right over there, just about a block away from us. There's always a very long
We're over that, aren't we? Searching around for these invisible characters.
People love that stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, speaking of invisible.
Wow, what a transition. I'm anxious to hear where you're going to go with this.
Well, because he had no support from Congress.
Can I just say this? Can I help you with this? The best episode of Abbott and Costello, The Invisible Man. Am I correct? Fantastic.
Do you have anything from this millennium?
No help at all.
Oh, no? Okay.
None here.
Anyway, because he didn't have the support of Congress, Barack Obama said, I can still get stuff done because I got a pen and I got a phone. Well, Trump has Twitter. And it was 2 weeks ago when Trump went on Twitter and threatened to cancel Air Force One, the new one.
And make it invisible?
Because it was, right? They're going to get rid of that. Make it invisible because it's costing $4 billion. And that F-35 program is out of control with the cost. So yesterday, because of the Twitter rant, he actually sat down with, separately, the CEOs of Boeing and Lockheed Martin, and he got a deal out of the guy from Boeing. They're going to cut the cost.
That's right. I know. It was going to be $4 billion to replace Air Force One. And he's saying, all right, I'm listening to you, Mr. Trump. We want to save the taxpayer money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lower the cost.
And everybody's smiling at the end. Here's Donald Trump talking about the meetings he put together in beautiful Mar-a-Lago.
Amazing people.
President-elect, can you tell us what you discussed in this meeting?
Trying to get costs down, costs. Primarily the F-35, we're trying to get the costs down. Because it's a program that is very, very expensive.
These security concessions from Lockheed Martin?
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see. Just beginning. It's a dance, you know. It's a little bit of a dance. But we're going to get the costs down, and we're going to get it done beautifully. And these are great people. These are amazing people.
And your conversation with Boeing?
And I'm very impressed with them. And good negotiators, too. Good. Good, Chris.
And your conversation with Boeing seemed to produce some positive results?
I think so. We had the chairman of Boeing, CEO, and I think we're looking to cut a tremendous amount of money off the price.
So you're hearing about the CEO of Boeing, the CEO of Lockheed Martin, Marilyn Houston, did not talk to the media, but did put out a statement, we're going to work with the government. Now, keep in mind, he also took to task the F-35 program. On Monday, the Air Force Lieutenant General in charge of the F-35 program, General Chris Bogdan, said the costs were not out of control. He said that Monday. He sat down with the president-elect yesterday in Mar-a-Lago. He did not release a statement, but I'm sure they're working on prices.
But the fact that they're meeting one-on-one shows as a new sheriff in town, you don't necessarily have to have a blistering conversation to get your point across. The fact that he asked...
Oh, it was blistering. I'm going to cancel it.
Well, that's true, but when they finally meet face-to-face, you realize there's very few people, there are very few companies that can do what they do. Dennis Muhlenberg said this. He's Boeing's CEO after the meeting at Mar-a-Lago.
We're going to get it done for less than that, and we're committed to working together to make sure that happens.
That was quick and to the point.
They're going to work and make it happen. All right, so when I interviewed Eric Trump, this is a family of negotiators. I remember asking him, I interviewed him with his wife, Laura, and I said, I was talking to him about their wedding, and he said the flowers were the most expensive. And I said, well, did they like slap you with this big bill at the end of the wedding? And he said, oh, no. That was negotiated well in advance.
Well, of course.
So, that, you know, this is a family, if they don't like the price, they're going to cut costs.
Well, like we just heard Mr. Trump say, it's all part of a dance. It is unusual to have the President of the United States, President-elect of the United States, actually negotiate a government procurement contract, but Donald Trump has made it very clear he sees that as part of his job as being our president, is to make sure he can save us money. And yesterday it looked like he did so.
Well, the point, I guess, about the wedding is I like the fact that they're a billion-dollar family. You know, they're worth a lot of money. Someone who's doing their wedding could take advantage of them, but they negotiated ahead of time. I'm sure it was an outrageous amount, but I like the fact that they're billionaires, but maybe they're billionaires because of that, because they save money along the way.
I know he told the minister, I'm not paying you, but you can put our name on your resume. So maybe that's true. Here's the thing. I want him to attack that huge fee that came out that says they're wasting over $200 billion in the Defense Department. They found it in waste. And the current Secretary of Defense says, I won't even meet with the people who came up with that total. I want Donald Trump to meet with those people and find out where the waste is before we start building up our military again.
The point is, things are changing in Washington, and he's not even president yet. All right, 23 minutes now before the top of the hour. Jackie Ibanez joins us on this Thursday morning. She's got the headline.
Hey, Jack. Good morning, friends. Nice to be here with you this morning, and nice to have everyone at home. Well, they were best friends, and they gave their lives to protecting their communities. And now, shocking body cam video shows the tragic final moments before two Georgia police officers were murdered in the line of duty.
Come here. Come here. Hey, he's going out the back. Hey, he's going out the back door.
The video shows officers Nicholas Smarr and Jody Smith responding to a domestic disturbance call in the city of Americus. The two walked through the front door, as you saw, before chasing the suspect through the back of the house and into an alleyway where the suspect then opened fire. That shooter then took his own life. Get in while the getting's good, folks. That's the call from Mexico's ambassador to the U.S., urging millions of immigrants to apply for U.S. citizenship before President-elect Trump takes office. Officials claiming it could be a good legal defense if Mr. Trump changes immigration laws. There are more than 11 million illegal immigrants currently living here in the United States. And Harry Reid admitting to playing dirty politics? Talking to KNPR Radio in Las Vegas, the former Democratic leader says he did what was necessary back when he falsely claimed former GOP nominee Mitt Romney hadn't paid his taxes. Remember that?
There's no brazen lies. I did what was necessary.
Well, there you have it. Romney did release evidence he fully paid his taxes going back more than 20 years. And terrifying moments as a FedEx driver clings to the side of his carjacked van. Look at that. An armed suspect climbing inside while the worker was making a delivery in Glendale, Arizona. The driver refusing to give up the van full of Christmas presents. Good for him. He was finally forced to after a second suspect pulled up in a white car and pointed a gun at him. The thieves stealing everything inside before abandoning the van. They are still on the run, and that FedEx guy, he is a hero in my eyes. Those are all Christmas presents, and they were all your Christmas
Doing
presents.
the best he could. This is why we need drones to deliver our packages.
Exactly, Brian.
Right.
That was in Arizona?
Yeah.
It's in Arizona? All right, so they're going to recover all the packages and get them to the right people, right?
I would hope so.
Well, they turned off all of them, so.
Glad it didn't happen in New York.
We just had the story with the sheriff and the Grinch down south in Florida, now out in Arizona,
That was a great
too.
interview, by the way.
He was a great sheriff.
All right, bad weather and the holiday rush already causing a travel nightmare and trapping hundreds of passengers on the runways at LAX for hours.
That airport saying it's a domino effect of delays, blaming the holiday weekend and the weather, and warning it's only going to get worse as we get closer to Christmas.
Janice Dean, what else can I say?
I will be in touch with Santa Claus to make sure every girl and boy gets their toys, because the big storm is coming Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. Let's take a look at the maps. You know what? There's a little bit of a warm-up. That's the good news. The bad news is we have several storm systems, one of them across the southwest, including Southern California, heavy rain and mountain snow. That's our first system. We actually have a weak system across the northeast as well. So this one is going to move into the... I just heard some... Is that a llama? We have animals going on the... Sorry. Like... Oh, there he is. Oh, my gosh, I wish we had a camera. It's like a camel guy. Can you move the camera? We will. Hang on. Oh, stand by. Here we go. This is more important than the weather right now. Is that a camel? Is that a camel? I think that's a camel. What do you think, guys? Well, that camel is going to be coming up in a few minutes. And just so you're aware, we're going to be tracking that storm across the U.S. that could delay travelers. So just be in touch with your airline. Tweet them. They're good with the tweets and everything. There is a camel live on 48th and 6th right now. I don't think I've ever seen that or said that on live TV.
How do you think Steve gets to work?
Oh, my God. Do we have wise men here, too?
That's right.
I hope so. Oh, my gosh, that's fantastic. I'm going to see if I go ride the camel. Hang on.
No, it's only a one hump. You need two humps.
She would walk a mile for a forecast. Janice Dean, outside. You'll find out what that's about in a minute.
You know how camels attack you? They spit on you.
That's an attack?
Right.
Or is that defense?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay.
All right, guys, from video game to the big screen. Assassin's Creed is out in theaters now, nearly 10 years since the game debuted.
Let's step into the Foxlight with Fox Senior Vice President of Marketing, Michael Tamero, who sat down with the cast.
I did. It's really tough to follow a camel, I just got to say. But Michael Fassbender, Jeremy Irons, and Marion Cotillard told me what it was like to bring this video game, to the big screen. See, it is.
Action.
Where am I? At 6 p.m. yesterday evening, you were executed and pronounced dead.
You know, whenever you hear movies based on a toy or a video game,
please.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But this was so fresh.
Justin Kurzel, the director, has never made this sort of movie before, so it was a completely new take, and he's a really serious filmmaker, from what I've seen.
I thought it was such a perfect mix of entertainment and profound questions about the world we live in.
20th sent us over to Seville, Spain to kind of partake in what it was like doing some action. It hurt. I don't know how you guys do it. We did some parkour and hand-to-hand. How much of it did you do, and what was it like?
it was important for us that, both Ariane Labad, Hovik, and myself, that we did the action sequences ourselves. Definitely 95% of the fights ourselves.
Leap of faith. What was it like shooting that?
Very nerve-wracking. Damian Walters, who does it at 120 foot without any wire, without any rope, so it's a free fall. And I was like, Damian, you don't have to do it from that height. We can add things later, like they do in a lot of these films. He's like, no, I'm going to break my record on this movie. I want to do it. And that was kind of the spirit of the shoot,
I believe you are destined for great things. Let's find out.
Assassin's Creed is out now. For more of my celebrity interviews, check out FoxLightMagazine.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FoxLightMichael.
So the guy actually does do the jumping.
They do a lot of their stunts themselves, yes.
All right, Michael, thank you very much.
Michael.
Guys, thanks.
All right. Hey, let me tell you what's coming up straight ahead. This man allegedly drove a truck through a Christmas market. You know about this in Berlin, killing and injuring people. Is this terrorist attack just another example of the war on Christians? We'll examine that next. Fox News alert now. The international manhunt sadly still underway for this suspect for the Berlin Christmas market attack. Police say the 24-year-old Tunisian could be ready to strike again.
That, as President-elect Donald Trump calls the incident an attack on humanity. So how can this global war against Christians be stopped? Chris Mitchell is the Middle East bureau chief based in Jerusalem for Christian Broadcast Network News, and he's the author of that book right there. It's called ISIS, Iran, and Israel: What You Need to Know About the Current Mideast Crisis and the Coming Mideast War. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning,
Good to see you.
Brian. First of all, I watch Fox and Friends in Jerusalem and appreciate what you do,
all right,
especially on a topic like this.
Absolutely. Well, I know Brian's interviewed you before on the radio, and we've become friends over the last year. We wanted to bring you on to talk to our viewers about what exactly is happening, because you live in Jerusalem, in the Middle East. What's happening to Christians there?
Well, especially in the Middle East. Just a few weeks ago, I was in a place called Karakos, which is in northern Iraq, and this was captured by ISIS in 2014. In 2 years, they basically destroyed the city in many ways. And when you go there, you can just see the war on Jesus or the war on Christians. Churches were burned. You can see that crosses almost throughout the city were taken down. One of the most moving things I saw is they actually took thousands of books from a convent, put them in the church courtyard, and burned them. And it reminded me of the 1933 burnings in Nazi Germany. Just an ideology that is against Christians throughout the Middle East.
Cardinal O'Connor, Cardinal Dolan, I should say, I was with him yesterday, and he said that he's been urged by Jewish leaders to stand up for the massacre of Christians, because don't let what happened to them happen to you guys, because there has not been enough Christian leaders speaking out about with the annihilation of them, including what happened in Berlin.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the question I've had the last couple of years since I wrote the book on ISIS, Iran, and Israel, which includes about Christian persecution. Some Jewish people have asked me, why aren't Christian leaders speaking out more about that? And I think that's really something that people need to do more, because Christianity in northern Iraq in particular is really on the verge of extinction.
So back here in America, what can we do? What can Donald Trump do to help Christians that are living in other countries?
Well, I think three things. First of all, prayer, provision, and politics. Christians can be praying for their fellow believers there in the Middle East. They need help right now. It's a dire situation for many of them. In politics, I think Donald Trump can do a couple of things. First of all, there's legislation that would create a safe zone in northern Iraq for Christians. He's already said there could be something in Syria, and I think northern Iraq would help as well. And what's called the Nineveh Plain, that would be important. There's also legislation by Chris Smith from New Jersey. He's talking about a genocide relief act that would help Christians and other minorities that have been subject to genocide.
Here's a big question. What are Muslims? What's the Muslim problem with some Muslims? What's their problem with Christians?
Well, it's an ideology. You talked about Salafists just a few minutes ago, and I think they have an ideology that is against Christians, against infidels. When we were in this town of Karakos, we saw writings on the wall that said, "We will crush the infidels, we will destroy your crosses, we beheaded you, you infidels." And I think it's an ideology that goes from the Christian market terror attack in Berlin. You wrote about it in your book, Brian, about the Barbary pilots. And I think whether it's in the Christmas market in Berlin, Karakos, northern Iraq, or in the shores of Tripoli, this is an ideology that is against Christians.
Right. Not Muslims, but Islamic extremists and the Salafist Muslims.
Exactly.
Not all.
Not all Muslims by any means, but sort of there's a significant minority that are taking these terror attacks from Berlin Bahrain, Karakosh, and wherever.
So safe zones, and then Donald Trump says he's going to eradicate ISIS.
Yeah. Right. And the good news is that he's really speaking out and identifying the enemy. And the other good news is that even in this season of Christmas, with all the bad things happening, the news of Christmas is still going on.
That's right.
All right, great to see you.
Merry
Great
Christmas.
to see you. Merry Christmas.
Thanks.
All right, straight ahead, a huge show. We still have on tap Kellyanne Conway be here live. Corey Lewandowski will also be here shortly.
Plus, we are bringing the nativity scene to life this morning with real animals out there on our plaza. That's why the camel is here, Brian.
That's why we got the ID for the camel.
Oh, that's what Christmas means to me, my love. Oh,
I got it.
Well, 'tis the season of bright Christmas lights and beautiful nativity scenes. Hello there. Yeah. And this morning, we have some of the animals featured in those nativity scenes right here on our plaza.
Right. He's got a mind of his own, this guy.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, I'll read now. Here now is Stephanie Arney. She's from the Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Stephanie, what have you brought with you today?
Well, I have a lot of animals that we have been utilizing in our life for about 4,000 years, and obviously some of them are really famous from our famous nativity scene, right?
Well, let's start with the camel.
Well, like I said, all of these animals we've been utilizing for agriculture, for their power, their strength, companionship, for everything, and so we should be a lot more grateful for them, that's for sure. And one that we think is just really fascinating is a camel. This is a one-hump camel called a dromedary. They're really built to live in desert habitats. So 2 layers of eyelashes, really thick eyebrows. They have nostrils that can actually close. And this is all to help prevent sand from getting...
And they also don't need a lot of water, right? Because they store it.
They don't. They can actually go for about 100 miles in the desert, like at 150 degrees Fahrenheit with no water, because 80 pounds of fat is stored in that hump. It's actually not water sloshing around,
It's a fat deposit.
It's a fat deposit.
Some have 2 humps.
Yes.
Those are easier to ride, I would assume.
I would
What do we
assume as
have
well.
here? This
Very
is a donkey?
expensive, though. Pricey. Okay, now this donkey's actually from Sicily, right?
This is a Sicilian mini donkey, and
You're among your people, aren't you, Italian?
Yes, absolutely.
They have been bred.
eyes.
They've been bred for a really long time to be really short, but still yet very, very powerful. But they're also really intelligent, sweet, and as you can see, kind of stubborn animals.
Can they procreate? Or have you
They
mixed,
can procreate, yes.
I
hope so.
But the mule.
No,
Horses, mules, jackasses, donkeys.
Why is it
some
called
breeding differences?
Yes, there is.
Why is it called the Holy Cross donkey?
Oh, a Holy Cross donkey, because some of them, they have different colorations, but they have a black mane, and some species have a white cross that goes across their back, so it looks like a cross. Yeah, they're beautiful, fluffy animals, but my favorite animal in the whole world is that thing right there. That's an African pygmy goat, and not many people know this, but my favorite animal in the whole world is that goat.
Really?
I love.
I think they're so smart. They're very intelligent.
They're very smart, very sweet.
I love the
and
horn.
I think what I love is their eyes are goofy looking. They make adorable sounds like.
How big will they get?
Oh, not much. About double the size of that.